Write a quadratic equation for the parabola shown. If you look at this graph, we don't really know the vertex. We know where it's at, but it's in between the lines. It's not on a corner, so it's going to be a decimal value. So we don't want to use the vertex form for this parabola. But we do know the x-intercepts right here. And we have the intercept form, which is y equals a times x minus p times x minus q. And recall that p and q are the x-intercepts. So I have one x-intercept that's -3, so I could say that p is equal to -3, and then q would equal 2. So I'm going to plug in those two values for p and q. I don't know the a value, so I'm going to have to calculate it. I need to know x and y, and we can get x and y from the given point. X and y. So we're going to take the p, the q, the x, and the y. We'll plug them into our form here, and we'll solve it for the a value. So y is -4. I'm getting that from this point right here. Equals a times my x value comes from this point also, which is -2, minus my p, which is -3. And then I've got the x value again, which is -2, minus my q, which is 2. So let's simplify inside the parentheses here. I have -2 minus a -3. So minus minus becomes plus, and then -2 plus 3 is 1. Then I've got -2 minus 2, which gives me a -4. So -4 times 1 is -4 times a is -4a is equal to -4. Divide both sides by -4, and you'll get an a value that is equal to a +1. So now I'm going to go back up to the original equation, the form, and I'm going to plug in 1 for a, which if a is 1, we really just disregard it. We don't have to plug it in. I'm going to plug in my p and q values, so I'm going to end up with this equation, y equals 1 for a, and I have x minus a -3. Now when you have a minus minus, that really becomes +3. And then I have x minus my q, which is 2. And this is kind of where you think about what we said earlier, that p and q are both liars. I see the +3, but I know from my graph it's really at a -3. I see a -2, but I know from the graph it's really at a +2. So they're really opposite of what you see. If you want to plug in the 1 for the a, that's fine, but just realize that most of the time, or all the time, if a is 1, they will not write that in there. So you could just leave it as x plus 3, x minus 2.